All right, guys, I'm here at the Utah State Correctional Facility. I've actually spoke here before. I was honored enough to be the first person that the state actually let into the facility to speak to inmates about a year earlier. If you guys have followed my YouTube channel, you've seen that's actually one of my episodes where I get to speak to the inmates. Well, guess what? We're doing it again. We're running it back this time. But the difference is, instead of speaking to like 50 to 100 inmates, we're going to be speaking to about 100 here, but it's going to be broadcast all throughout the whole nation to all the correctional facilities. So it's going to be thousands and thousands of inmates. But I wanted you guys to come in and kind of see how everything goes. And hopefully I give a good message. We're going to share the message and you guys will be able to watch it here on YouTube. Who here came wanting to learn some shit? Or who's just here because they just don't know what else to do? If there's fucking cookies, we better get some cookies. If you really came here right now to learn some shit, I'm going to give you some shit that you're going to learn. I promise. Right now, for the next hour, will be a pivoting moment in your life. I promise. If you really came to learn some shit, if you're just here to waste your time, shut up and listen. And I promise when I'm done, you'll want to learn some shit. I promise. Now, here's the thing. I get the opportunity to speak to a lot of people. Usually I speak to crowds of 2,000 to 10,000 people at a time. I don't get this intimate type shit, so I'm excited about this. It's an honor for me to be able to be here. Now, every time I go somewhere to speak, people always ask me, what do you speak on? I'm like, I don't have anything prepared. I don't prepare. Why would I do that? How's God going to speak through me if all I do is prepare to give a message that I think you guys want to hear? So I want to share with you guys something first before I get into this. Every single morning when I get up for when I go to do speeches, which by the way, I speak all over the place. I teach, I mentor. I spend a little bit of time in prayer. And all I ask is something really simple. I say, God, help me to express a message. I don't want to impress one. I don't give a shit what they think about me. What is it that I need to express for them to hear so that they can figure out something in their life so they can change? Now, I'll tell you guys, I didn't have shit for answers until I started driving here this morning. I live about 45 minutes north. And I got on my social media, and I've got about 6 million followers on my social media. And I put up a post. I said, hey, I'm going to speak to some gentlemen in the prison. If you had an opportunity to speak to those people, what would you say? And I started to just get a shit ton of messages. And then there was something that came through that really hit me, and it's something I want to share with you guys and how I want to start this whole conversation. Now, I know you guys, or I hope some of you guys got pen and paper, because the truth is if you hear some shit and you don't write it down, it's not going to mean shit in about an hour. You won't even remember it. So if you hear something, write the shit down. Even if it's not something I say, it's something that you get impressed from what I say, write the shit down. For those of you who have a notepad, I want you to write down something. If you work twice as hard on yourself as you do on any other thing in your life, you will find peace, happiness, and success above everything else. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm here for a reason. I'm here because I want to find peace, happiness, and success. I want to be successful as shit. But you can't get there if you don't understand the recipe to get there. And the recipe is really simple. And by the way, this message is for everybody here. It's not just for inmates. It's for everybody. Those people who have jobs that work a 9 to 5. If you understand the principle, if I work twice as hard on myself as I do on my job, I will be more successful than I could possibly imagine. And if that's the case, then what I want to share with you today is how the fuck do I work on myself? See, here's the thing. When I stand in front of people, I get the opportunity to tell them to get your shit together and take some time and fucking work on yourself. Well, guess what? I'm not here doing that today. You guys are here for a reason. You're only here to work on yourself. That's why you're here. You did some shit and you got put away, and now you have the opportunity to do nothing more than work on yourself to become a greater version of yourself. How many of you guys got kids? How many of you got wives? Now, let me tell you a cool secret. I don't give a shit what you did. What I care about is who you become. And you said you got kids? How important is it that one day you become the greatest version of yourself for them? And I don't care if you're here for the rest of your fucking life. How important is it for them to see you become a greater version of yourself? Hey kids, I fucked up. I did some stupid shit, but I spent the rest of my life becoming something greater.
Tell them every day.
Every day. And all of you have this opportunity, every single one of you. I don't know what the fuck you do in here, but I know you wake up and you got the choice to either sit and do nothing or wake your ass up and go to work. And what do I go to work on? The most important thing I could work on. That's me. So now if you understand that principle, I'm going to help you kind of sift through that. Oh, where's the warden? He's got to go. Now here's the thing. While I was coming here this morning, I had a shit ton of messages from people about what they would share with you guys. There was a lot of stupid answers. There was some good answers, but there was one specifically. I'm going to put my water right here. There was one specifically, and it's what hit me hard as shit. Hit me like a ton of bricks. See, when I ask God for something, when I ask him to help me, hey, how can I help these people? How can I take whatever I have and express to them so that they change their life, whatever that is? Because I'm not here for fun. I'm here to help you become a better version of yourself, to take today, right now, a pivoting moment in your life and change you. So I said, you know what, God, help me figure out what it is they got to hear. So I got this message from this young lady. I could probably read it because I don't remember the whole thing. But she said something really powerful. I've got 5 daughters. Still going for a son. I'm going to keep going. Even if I got to have like 30. And she said, share with them what you would say if they were your sons. I went, fuck.
Wait, say that again?
She said, share with them what you would say to them if they were your sons. And driving down the road, hit me like a ton of bricks. Now I'm going to treat you like my sons. I know most of you are older than me. I'm only 37. I know I look old because I got the gray beard. I want to share with you the first thing that I came here today for. One of the greatest personal development or work you could do on yourself is figure out, number one, how to love yourself. And pre-loving yourself, you got to do some hard shit. You got to figure out how to forgive yourself. Now, I understand I'm standing in front of a group of men who have done some heinous shit, some bullshit, who made some mistakes. You've probably done some dark, deep shit. But I can tell you right now, if I was talking to you and you were my son and you were in this facility, I would look you in your eyes and I would say, I need you to be able to forgive yourself. Because no other forgiveness is going to matter. See, what you did is in the past. That's not who you are, it's what you did. But what you do moving forward is who you become. And none of that is going to happen or take place if you can't do the first step to personal development. I can't find love for myself if I can't truly forgive myself for the shit that I've done. Now, guess what, guys? I've been to jail. I did a stint in jail. In fact, the last time I spoke at a correctional facility, I told them all about my jail story. I beat the shit out of some dude, broke into his house, kicked his ass. I went to jail for a while. I did some deep, dark shit myself. I had an affair on my first wife while she was pregnant with our daughter. I've done some dark shit. And it took me years and years and years to work on myself. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't find any progress in self and personal development because I couldn't forgive myself. Now, I would dare bet some of you every day are carrying some heavy ass weight all day, every day. Weight that you can release as soon as you decide that you can work on yourself and through personal development, find love for yourself by forgiving yourself. And by the way, nobody else is going to forgive you. It's just going to be you. And then when you take that step, you might be surprised how all the other people that you seek forgiveness from will come. So my first message is this tonight. I know you guys got time. Get a pen and paper. Write down the shit that's deep. Write down the stuff that's bothering you, the stuff you're carrying. And by the way, guys, every one of these motherfuckers that work here that aren't sitting in here have the same thing to do. See, this isn't a message just for inmates. It's a message for everybody. You do deep, dark shit. Whether you end up in prison or not, you got to carry that shit. And the longer you carry it, the heavier it gets. And you can't become who you're supposed to become until you realize it starts with you. See, personal development is everything. I've built 45 companies. I have built massive companies. I've made tons of money. I get to mentor people now on how to make money. That's what I do as for a living. The first thing I go through with a man who comes to me and says, hey, I need you to mentor me to build my business. I say, how's your family? How's your marriage? See, we start diving deep because what most people don't understand is you are the bottleneck to any progression. So your business ain't doing well, it's because of you. Your family isn't doing well, it's because of you. You're not doing well, it's because of you. It's nobody else's fault. So you got to go inward. That's why I like this quote. You work twice as hard on yourself as anything else, and all of a sudden you become who you're supposed to become. You become powerful as shit. Now, again, I know I'm looking at some people in here who are going to be here for a very long time. Well, guess what? You got a long ass time to work on yourself. And you have the opportunity today. By the way, today, you're going to hear something. I don't know what it is, but you're going to hear something that's going to give you an opportunity to pivot in your life and change. Whether you take it and run with it, or you take it and sit and don't do anything with it is your choice. 100%. So tonight, when you go and you write shit down, start writing about the deep and the dark shit, the stuff you're carrying. I get to lift weights. I used to be a power lifter. But even something as light as this, if I sit and hold it, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And as strong as I am, I'm going to give out on this at some point. See, there's some deep and dark shit that you guys are carrying around just like this all fucking day, all day long. And that shit's heavy. And over time, it gets heavier and heavier. In fact, if I held this out, I would probably stop speaking because all I'd be worried about was keeping this up. See, you want to grow, but you're carrying around this shit and holding this shit and it's getting heavier and heavier and heavier. As soon as you free yourself from this shit, all of a sudden you can start working on yourself and the shit that's important. The reality, again, I know you guys got shit to work through, but it starts with forgiving yourself. Now, I'm a man of God. I believe in God. And I want to share something with you. Because I got that message this morning. A scripture came to mind of God speaking to you guys, to me, to everybody here. And it was really simple. Let them know that my arms are always open and I don't care what they did. Let them know they got to find forgiveness in themselves. And as soon as they find forgiveness in themselves, they can find it from me. See, my arms are always open. I don't know if there's a more beautiful message to share with the world. That there's a God, that he loves us, and that his arms are always open. And that we are the ones that make the decision to either come to him or go, no, you know what, I messed up. I'm going to stay away. Understanding that message gives me purpose in becoming something greater. Every one of you get to become something greater. One of my favorite quotes, you have what you have because of who you are, but you can have more than you have because you can become more than you are. But that goes back to personal development. Who will you become? Now, I could sit up here and give you guys this cool motivational speech and give you nothing to do with it. And that would be a waste of time. So I'm going to give you a recipe, something I want you guys to focus on. I'm going to give you 4 pillars to focus on. When I talk to you about personal development, I'm going to give you 4 things that you're going to focus on. Every single day, you wake your ass up and you check yourself on all 4 of these. And when you check yourself, decide if it's something that you're willing to work on. Number 1, which really should be your favorite one. The most important piece to personal development is physical health. Now I'm looking at a weight room. I seen when I got here, there was people walking around. I'd be very surprised to know you guys don't have enough time to get your fucking ass in shape. To become the greatest version of yourself, you need to get in good shape. If you can't get in good shape here, you ain't going to do it out there. And by the way, let me tell you something. The most important thing in your life is health. You don't believe me? Go find somebody who doesn't have health and tell me what they talk about, what they think about. Go find somebody who's dying and tell me what they focus on. And I don't care if they're rich or poor, they're still going to talk about the same shit, that fucking health problem. So if you don't understand that and you can't place priority in it, then you can't place priority in anything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if my health is so important and I can't place that in priority, how the fuck am I going to prioritize my life? You can't do it. Number one, the first pillar, your physical health is everything. You need to be eating right. You need to be drinking. You need to be working out. You need to be focused on becoming the baddest version of yourself. You know, I got to tell you, my greatest fear, I don't know if I believe in a heaven or a hell, but I think that there's a heaven or a hell moment when we die. I think when we die, we stand in front of the greatest version of ourselves. And we're either looking him in the eyes or we're looking down at the ground because we're disappointed in seeing who he was and who I currently am. I'll tell you, I chase that motherfucker every day. See, my greatest version, he's ripped, he's fucking huge, he's healthy, he's a bad motherfucker, and he makes millions and millions of dollars. That's the greatest version of me. Now, let me tell you something about you. The greatest version of you is much greater than you currently are. That's a bad motherfucker. And you're going to look at him at some point. You're going to stand in front of him on that day of judgment, on that day when you die. And you know what God's going to say? He's going to say, hey, this is who you were supposed to become. That's what you're supposed to look like. That's how much money you were supposed to make. That's the father you were supposed to be. Did you become that? And you have the opportunity to look at the ground in embarrassment and say, no, I didn't. I didn't. I think that's heaven or hell. Now, if I chase my personal development like a savage, then I become that person. Again, you work twice as hard on yourself as everything else, and you become whatever it is you're supposed to become. Number one in that pillar is physical health. Number two, and by the way, you better be writing this shit down. Number two is mental health. Mental health is everything. See, you are the sum total of your thoughts. The tattoos you have is because you thought about them before you got them. The clothes you wear, the hair you have, the beard you got, it's because you thought about it first. The people that you are is a sum total of your thoughts. So what that means is I should build my mental because it's the platform on which I build everything. Now, here's a little inventory for you to take. How do I decide if I'm mentally healthy or not? Anybody here know what it is? Anybody know how you decide if you're mentally healthy or not? It's only two things. It's positive or negative. Do I have positive thoughts or do I have negative thoughts? Do I have positive actions or do I have negative actions? Do I have positive words or do I have negative words? See, mental health is much easier than we make it. How positive are you? In the hardest times of your life, which by the way, I think might be right now while you guys sit here. I imagine life was much better before you were in this prison. How are you mentally? There are human beings on this planet that could be thrown into any situation, any darkness, any deep shit, and they will remain positive because their mind is healthy and sharp, because they have focused on their mentality, their mind. Now, when I tell you, you need to work on yourself, you need to check this. You need to focus on this, and you need to take inventory. You know what I would do tonight? Is I would write and I would write and I would write all of the things that I think about on a daily basis, all the things I say. Then I would go back and I would check, is this positive or is this negative? If it's negative, it's time for you to fucking shift. Shift your mindset. And I get it. This ain't a positive thing to be here. But your circumstances do not dictate your mind. They can't. Because guess what? We all go through hard shit. How well do I carry through hard shit with positivity? And you have the opportunity here to fix that. See, every day you guys get to wake up and go, am I going to be positive today or am I going to be negative? Now, I don't know anything about this facility, but I would imagine it's probably negative. You have an opportunity to stand the fuck up in the darkness and be the light and be positive. To actually make an effect on yourself and then on the people around you. Mental health is everything. And how well you stay positive in the hard times is a real gut check as to how mentally healthy you are. So pillar number 2, a simple one. Your mental health is everything. And it's time for you to start taking accountability of what it is you think and say and do on a regular basis. Now, pillar number 3. I would dare bet that pillar number 3 is the reason that most of you are here. Emotional health. The majority of the world allows their emotions to regulate them. See, their emotions get so strong one way or another that it dictates their actions. I would imagine the mistakes that you've made that have put you here was because of the emotional state that you were in, that you allowed dictate the actions that put your ass here. See, emotional health is learning that I know the world is going to be dictated by their emotions, but I'm too much of a fucking monster to allow it to dictate me, so I will learn how to regulate my emotions. The greatest thing that a man and a leader could do is figure out how to regulate the emotions that they feel every day. By the way, I'm an emotional person. I'm not telling you guys not to feel emotion. What I am saying is it's time for you to learn how to regulate those emotions. Because up to this point, I would dare bet most people in here allowed their emotions to regulate their actions and got their ass in here for that reason. When I tell you to work on yourself and you begin to check yourself as to what got you to where you are, this is the type of shit that I'm talking about. Emotional regulation is everything. I want to share with you guys. Listen, I'm not standing here telling you everything I'm telling you that I'm perfect at. I am far from it. I work my ass off every day to become a better human being than I was the day before. And emotional regulation was something I couldn't figure out. It's why I fucked up so much. It's why I ended up in jail. It's why I ended up having an affair. It's why I ended up fucking up businesses. It's why I was a shitty father when I was younger. But I've worked on it over and over and over. And here's the thing. Every day I wake up, you know what I remind myself? I'm a fucking warrior. And every part of life is a battle. I don't get fucking beat anymore. Life's fucking hard, man. It's a battle. But are you a warrior or are you a coward? Because cowards allow their emotions to regulate them. Warriors regulate their emotions. And again, I'm not saying you're not going to feel emotions. I'm saying you're going to feel them and then you're going to regulate them. And you're going to make decisions based on fact rather than on how I feel. Because how I feel does not dictate what I do. Because at this point in my life, my emotions have regulated me, and that's why I am where I am. So I must fix that. And as I go down this path of personal development, I understand I will feel an emotion, I will regulate it, I will withdraw it from where I'm going, and I will make the correct decision. Now, I'm reminded of this shit just recently. I'm pretty good. It's pretty hard to get me angry anymore. But every now and again, I fuck up. I do pretty good. I was driving down the freeway, I don't know, like a month ago. And this guy cuts me off. He cuts me off and then flips me off. I'm like, okay, fuck this guy. So I pull next to him. I get out of the car and I'm like, let's fucking go. My wife is in the car. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? And obviously, my emotions are regulating me. He's obviously scared out of his mind now. He drives off. I get back in the car and I'm like, you fucking idiot. I get back to driving. My wife's quiet because she knows I usually figure my shit out. I'm on a good enough path now that when I fuck up, I can figure it out. I get back in the car and I'm like, what the hell was that? I literally teach that you should regulate your emotions, and my emotions ran so high from some dipshit that cut me off and flipped me off. I was ready to go to prison. Mr. Personal Development out here beating people up on the highway because my emotions regulated my decisions. See, that's why I know you guys are only here because you allowed your emotions to regulate you. I got back in that car and I went, what the hell am I doing? I teach this shit. I work on this shit, and then boom, something like that happens. Come on, man. See, here's the thing. In everything that I teach you, you're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. That's okay. When I work twice as hard on myself as I do on everything else, I take inventory real quick. I'm the first person in an argument to go, all right, I'm looking in the mirror. I'm the problem. I'm the first person when shit hits the fan to go, you're the problem. You're the solution. Go fucking fix it. Because of the path on which I'm on to figure out how to become better. I don't need to be doing that shit. I was stupid. I should have drove by. I should have not said a damn thing. But you know what? I didn't. And I learned from that experience. That experience was simple. Keaton, you are not where you want to be. It's time to work on emotional regulation again, over and over again. That situation can't happen again. You got 5 daughters and a wife. You don't get to end up in prison because you want to beat somebody up. That's stupid. So I go back to the drawing board. The same thing I want you guys to do tonight. And by the way, if you don't do this homework tonight, I'll know that none of this shit means anything to you. Go tonight. When you're writing down, begin to address and take inventory on the emotions you feel and what they do and how they dictate you. I would imagine there's probably a lot of fights that break out here from emotional unregulation. Don't do that shit no more. Figure out how you become something better. Figure out how you battle against that because you're a warrior. So you don't get to leave this meeting after today and be a bitch. You got to be a warrior now. You've got to show up. You got to be in a place where you go, I know this shit's hard, but I choose to battle. I'm not giving in anymore. Pillar number 3 is a very important pillar. And again, it's something I would plead with you guys to work on every single day. Now, pillar number 4 is probably my favorite and the most important pillar. Exactly. You can say it louder. Spiritual health. And I'll tell you, I don't believe that there is a man or a woman on this earth that is a true leader or truly successful that doesn't know where they stand with God. See, spiritual health is what forms everything in us. Our core is based around what we believe. Does anybody here know what the word ethos means?
Self. Like how you perceive yourself.
No, you're right. You're almost the right track. Ethos, as defined in the dictionary, is a guiding belief. So it is how you perceive yourself. It's a guiding belief. Yeah, there you go. See, your ethos is who you are to your core. Most people never take the time to figure out what their ethos is. And by the way, you can't find out who you are if you don't know where you stand with God. The greatest thing you could do while you're here is figure out how to spiritually grow and become a spiritual giant. I've never seen someone that I liked or that led that wasn't a spiritual giant because they've taken the time to work on the most crucial thing they can, their spiritual health. Now, here's the cool thing. I don't care if you look me in my eyes and tell me you don't believe there's a God. I would prefer it over you saying, I don't know. See, even Christ taught that principle. He said, I'll take hot and I'll take cold, but lukewarm I will spit out of my mouth. Most of you are on the fence and you're lukewarm as to where you stand spiritually. And when you are on the fence, you don't know who you are. I got a really good friend. He's a musician. He does some really cool music. I doubt they let you play it in here. His name's Rob Bailey. He does some badass workout music. One of my best friends. One of his songs is so powerful. He says, take a look at yourself in the mirror and tell me who the fuck you are. Most people don't know who they are. The reason they don't know is because they're not willing to do the work to find out who they are. You don't know who you are until you have an ethos. Your ethos comes by how well you know who God is or isn't. See, I'll tell you, your ethos, your guiding belief is what you're willing to die for. I do an exercise a lot with people that I mentor. That exercise is a simple one. Write down your core values. Write them all down. I like to be nice to people. I want to be good. I want to have integrity. And then when you've written down your core values, you should ask one question. Am I willing to die for that? Now that whole core values list is going to start getting crossed out. Whatever carries over from your core values to your ethos is done by what you're willing to die for. I built my core values, and on one of my core values, I said I want to be good to other people. Now let me ask you this question. When I asked myself, am I willing to die to be good to other people? What do you think my answer was? In the beginning, no. You're exactly right. I said, am I willing to leave my 5 children fatherless and my wife husbandless to be good to other people? My answer was no. See, that's how I build my ethos. So I took that shit off. My ethos is very clear to me. I know where I stand with God and who I am, and I have built an ethos that tells me exactly who I am. The stronger you come to know who you are, the better you become as a human being. And no one gets to dictate it. See, your ethos stands alone, independent of any other person or opinion. But I can't do that if I don't know where I stand in my belief with God. Now, here's the thing, and this is the cool thing. I believe in God. I don't know if you guys do or not, but I believe in God. And I believe that he's my father and that I'm his son. And I think, or rather I know, that if he's up there, he sure as shit wants me to find out. Can you guys imagine the conversation with God if you get up there and he goes, why didn't you figure out who I was? What's your excuse going to be? I didn't have enough time. It wasn't that important to me. I just didn't seem like it was the right thing. You're going to feel like an idiot. I don't want to be that place. So what you must do, and I'm going to be very careful about the word that I use. See, in my faith, we have a scripture, and it's this guy. He's a young kid, and he's talking about all the things that people had taught him about God. And he says, I went into the wilderness to hunt beasts, and all the shit that I had been taught started to be reflecting in my mind. And he said, you know what? It's probably time for me to figure out. And then the word he uses is so powerful. How many of you guys played sports? Any of you guys wrestled? All right. I've played a lot of sports. I don't think there's a more physically demanding sport than wrestling. I really don't. I played a lot of sports. Going 3 minutes in a round with somebody else to kill them is hard as shit. See, this guy in the scripture says, let me tell you about the wrestle that I had with God. He didn't say my conversation. He didn't say my prayer. He said, let me tell you about the wrestle that I had with God. That's a physically demanding thing. And he says he wrestled with God day and night until he received an answer. So let me give you the greatest challenge I can give you today. If getting to know where you are spiritually means it's time for you to wrestle with God to find out what you need to find out from him, then you better do it. Again, you guys got all the time in the world to wrestle with God and find out who you are and who he is. And by the way, let me be clear about this. I'm okay with a man that looks me in my eyes and says, I wrestled with God and I don't believe there's a God. Okay, I'm okay with that. You're sure of it. But what I'm not okay with is a man who says, I don't know. I stand on the fence. You will never grow spiritually if you cannot figure out where you stand there. And if you take this opportunity, by the way, this will be a hard undertaking. I've wrestled with God before. It's not fun. There's no fun thing about it. I've sworn at him. I've cursed at him. I've been pissed. I've taken hours and hours and hours to wrestle with God. I know who he is. I know where I stand with him. My spiritual growth comes from that. And one of the most powerful scriptures that I've ever read is in the Old Testament. There's a gentleman who's out teaching the gospel. The whole city is sick of his shit. They put him in a stockhold. You guys know what stockhold is? It's that thing where they put their hands in and then their neck. He sits in front of the city. Everybody's like, dude, will you stop this shit? Will you please stop teaching what you're teaching? The thing he says, it amped me up, gives me chills. I got chills right now. He says, I can't. It's like fire in my bones that has to get out. See, when you find out who you are, there is not a soul on this planet that can change that opinion. And you become concrete in who you are, independent from anybody else. And nobody's opinion really matters anymore because you know where you stand. Now, if you take the rest of your life and you focus on these 4 principles, the men that I see right now, every one of you change exponentially. Life gets better. And I don't care about the circumstance. Life gets better. You become a more powerful human being. And you do what I think is one of the most important things a human being can do. You affect the lives of those that you love the most. Now, you said you got children. Imagine if they see you a year from today and who you become through working on yourself, through working physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, that when you step in the room, there's a new power, there's a new feeling. I know Dad made mistakes. I know he's in prison. But the man he is becoming is changing everything. And who he is becoming is an example to me. And the platform on which he's building for me changes me. And every one of you have that opportunity. Maybe you don't have any family. And guess what? You have friends. You always have influence. And the human being that you become changes your life and the people around you. Now, I wish there was 500 fucking people in this room so that we could take this and do this in the whole facility. But I got just a handful of you. And every single one of you that are here have an opportunity to change everything there. And the people that you are in contact with, and your family members, the people who love you. And let me tell you something. And this may be the most powerful thing I can say to you today. There are people that spend every single day on their hands and knees hoping that you will do this. That are pleading with God that you make the changes that you need to make to become who you need to become. And it's not for you. It's for them. And every single one of you have an opportunity every single day to do this shit. I know there's dark days. And there's days you're going to say, fuck all, I'm not doing any of that shit. But you get the opportunity to wake up again the next day and make the decision to do this again and again and again. And if all you do is change 1% every day, imagine where you'll be tomorrow, in a year, in 5 years. Who you see in the mirror will be a huge difference from who you are now. And every one of you get that opportunity. And it's completely in your control. And I'm talking to a group of men who don't have a lot of control. So take what's in your control now and be a savage with it. I have learned in my life, I don't have a lot of control, but the things I have control over, those 4 things I just talked about, they change everything in my life. And I get the ability every day to wake up and go, am I going to be a warrior or am I going to be a bitch? Am I going to allow life to dictate me or am I going to dictate my life and who I become and what I do and what success I see? See, you have it. It's all right here in your hand. It's your decision making that makes the difference. Every one of you. And the only person that gets to make that decision is every one of you, every day when you wake up. So I will tell you this, and I'll end with this. And I do want to open up. If you guys have questions, I want to open up and do questions. I usually don't get to do a Q&A with this many people. Work like a savage from today forward on yourself more than anything else. You guys have been allotted time to do that now. You're not out in the world doing all the crazy shit. You don't have all these distractions. You got this place, yourself. There is no excuse. For those of you who are going to get out one day, you have the opportunity to get out a completely different human being because you were given time to do nothing else but become ripped, shredded, successful, happy, at peace, and have a very strong ability in your spiritual power to move people. And it's only up to you. 100% up to you. Now, again, that's what I got. You guys got questions? I want to open it up to Q&A. What do you got, though? Everything. I don't say that lightly. I've owned a dental office, a plastic surgery clinic, a supplement company, a marketing company, hard money. Right now, I own a stock market company for vehicles we're actually launching. I own a fitness expo, all kinds of businesses. You know why? Because the same principles that apply to success are universal. I can literally take a human being and give them the exact same principles that made him good to be a father. He can be good in business. I can take the same principles that make you become a better man and make you successful in business. Now, everything's a little bit different in business, but it's all the same universal shit. And the number one conversation I have with gentlemen who come to me who want help in their business, I say, hey, bro, I know you got all these issues, but you're the fucking problem. You're the bottleneck. And they don't like hearing that, by the way. They want to tell me about their bad employees. They want to tell me about the economy and who the president is. That's all bullshit. You control. Your business, your life, your marriage, your family is dictated by you. And you're the bottleneck to the success of it. So when I learned that at a young age, I was like, dude, I could do anything. I started a plastic surgery clinic. I'm not a doctor. Can you imagine rolling in, girls coming in to get their boobs done, and they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? But because I understood the principles of business and the universal principles that I'm even teaching you, I applied them to every business. So again, every business I've had, I've learned more, and they're all universal shit, and I apply them to the next one. I'll probably build 45 more businesses in the next 10 years because it's all the same shit. There ain't no secrets. It's this simple shit.
I just have two questions for you. The first one, what made you decide on coming here versus, going to like one of those fancy hotels and doing a seminar over there? And then do you have a book or website I can look this up?
Yeah. So I speak almost every weekend. I get paid about $50,000 to speak in an event. I speak about 2 to 3 events a month. I do those seminars. When I got asked to come here, I was all over it. See, when I told you that I have my ethos, let me tell you what my ethos is. I want to change the world, and I want people to open up their eyes to who they truly are. I want to help millions of people become the greatest version of themselves. Now, I just as easily could have said to the warden, yeah, it's 50 grand to have me come out. But that doesn't align with my ethos. My ethos is that I get to be in front of a bunch of men who made a shit ton of mistakes, that maybe, just maybe, my message could change their life. Change the type of man they are, the type of husband they are, the type of father that they are. So when I was asked to come here, and by the way, this is the second time I was at Gunnison a year ago, I'll do this shit every day for free. Because my ethos tells me that I'm here to change people's lives, to open up their eyes, to see who they truly are and what they're capable of, and that the greatest version of them exists, and they just need to chase it. They need to chase it like a savage. That's why I come to this. And I speak next week in Arizona. The week after that, I'm in Vegas. I speak all the time. But I'll always do this shit for free. Because there's 1 or 2 people in here who are going to change from this.
Yeah, a book or website.
I do. I have a mentoring program and group where I actually get on and I teach every single week. It's called LimitlessSociety.com. I would love to have you guys there. I do a lot of mentoring now. Limitless Society. That's where you can get all of my stuff and what I teach on a regular basis. Which, by the way, and this is a great question, what you get today, whether it's good or bad, if it changes you just a little bit, then you need to understand you need to plug into this shit. Don't go to one event. Don't go to one speech. Don't have somebody teach you one time. Plug into shit that makes you better on a weekly basis. That's why I created the group. I have thousands and thousands of people in my group that come on a call and listen to me teach habits, mindsets, and principles to becoming successful.
You do teach like entrepreneurship.
I do. That's who I teach the most.
And then another one too is that why you what made you want, you know? Is that
Back to the original question that he asked. The reason I speak is because I can only do so much one-on-one.
Yeah.
But again, I usually don't speak to this small of a crowd. It's usually 1,000, 2,000, 10,000. I actually put on the biggest event in Utah for entrepreneurship. I do it at the Maverick Center. This year I did one. We had 10,000 people there. I got on stage for 2 hours. I get to affect 10,000 people in 2 hours. That's why I speak. And I'll do this shit until the day I die. I'm gonna have lots of businesses. I'm gonna sell a lot of business. I'm gonna make a lot of money, but I'm gonna do this shit for the rest of my life.
Now that you know it's like to be on the bridge, right? So was it you who actually caught yourself, or was it because the man drove off and then you?
No, it's because he drove off. I would have pulled him out and beat the dog shit out. Yeah, listen, I'll tell you, like, I'm no different than you guys. I just have learned to do the shit that I'm teaching you.
Yeah.
I feel emotions all the time. And I used to be very quick to anger. It's why I ended up in jail. It's why I made the mistakes that I made. And again, I'll tell you, I'm real good at controlling it, but I still have instances. I'll tell you, 6 months ago, I was at a concert here in Salt Lake. I had to bitch slap somebody. The guy touched my wife in the crowd.
Yeah.
So I bitch slapped him until he was out cold. And then all the police had to come and grab me and taser me to get me out of there. So to say that I'm any better than you, I'm not. That's why you need to listen to what I'm saying. We're all on the same playing ground. The only difference is the shit that I'm teaching you allots me to get to where I want to be. I understand you guys get emotional. I understand you get quick to anger. But is it regulating you, or are you learning to regulate it? Now, I'll say that's only 2 times in the last 6 months. So I've done pretty damn good, because I get quick to anger about once a day and I want to beat the dog shit out of somebody. But I have learned through what I'm teaching you to figure that out.
I get you.
So I'll try to be brief. I got a couple things I just want to touch on real quick. I feel like I connect to a lot of what you say, right? I feel like I'm emotionally retarded, right? So I say that like not to be like talking down to myself, but I just really feel like
So let me stop you. Stop saying that shit. Stop putting that out there. You are literally reinforcing to your subconscious that that's what you are and that's who you are. You know what I used to say all the time? I failed in high school. I almost didn't graduate. The only reason I graduated is because I was a star football player and they figured out how to get me out. It was easy for me to say that I was stupid, that I had all these inadequacies. Someone came to me at some point in my life. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Stop fucking saying that stuff. That's not who you are." And it changed everything in me. Everything changed because you create your reality. So what you just said, you made more of a reality. Stop saying those things. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to switch that.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's taken a long time, a lot of years. So it's crazy that you said I kicked in the door and beat up some dude that was sleeping with my girl. It wasn't my girl. She left me. Anyway, I got a 1 in 15 out of it. It's 2-5 life. You kick the door open and intending on harming an individual in the city of Utah. That is a burglary, even though I didn't burglarize it. Right?
Trust me, I had all those charges.
He attacked me. I was just at his house, and I got burned, right? But whatever. I wanted to talk about that. But when you said you had a road rage incident, I was in the car driving with my pregnant sister and her man. There's a car with 4 or 5 other guys, probably about my age. They cut me off, right? They flipped me off and made some gestures to my sister, right? I got an ear problem, right? I struggled with it just years ago.
There you go.
Pull over, I'm killing you guys, right? Whatever. They looked at me like I was crazy as fuck. Me and the guy in the back, my sister's boyfriend, he's like, dude, what are you doing? There's like 5 or 6 of them and just 2 of us. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this goddamn awesome, right? I mean, I'm chasing these dudes, and they will not go over. And I don't know why they would keep our asses, right? But I was so in tune in the moment that I checked out of reality. I kicked in the door, I checked out, and I acted on these emotions. And it's taken me, well, I'm 36 years old, and I've always wanted to do what you do, right? I want to be like a youth speaker, a mentor. I'm not very good at it yet, but when I first came to prison, I was told by a spiritual leader, right? It's like, what are you doing here? You don't fit the mold to the stereotypical convict or whatever, right? I got a drug problem. I got an anger problem. I got an emotional problem. And touch on a lot of things. And I like to take a lot of notes and reread them at the end of the day, but I want my ethos to become to help others, especially the youth, right? My dad died. My mom died when I was 15, 6 months later, my dad died. I see my mom, I woke up from school one day, my mom had a needle in her arm, she goes, I was in 9th grade. 6 months later, I found out that my dad had liver cirrhosis, and he lied to me about him not dying. I said that he might die. I was too busy smoking weed, doing a freaking paper job, while my dad died at home because he lied to me about not dying. I asked him if he was going to get better, and he says, no, I'm going to get better, I'm not going to die, right? My older brother told me, hey, you might want to talk to your dad, it's my half-brother, because he's not going to be around anymore. Anyway, he ended up dying. I was mad at him. He couldn't talk before he went into his coma. I said some mean things to my dad. I said, how the hell can you not tell me you're going to die, asshole? Right? Anyway,
Hey, can you guys keep it down for a sec?
he died, right? I told him I hated him. I told him some more shit. He looked at me, he couldn't talk back, right? And so that eats me up inside. The coroners came, they couldn't carry his body downstairs.
What's the question?
I had to carry him downstairs.
What's your question?
My question is, how did you decide, what was the tipping point? Because like, I'm at the bottom of the barrel, it just seems like it gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
I want you to write this down. I'm going to give you the answer because I know what your question is. You're an emotional regulated person. Your emotions regulate you. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a recipe to figure out how to stop doing that. Some of you guys who are also emotional need to hear this. If you switch the rhetoric in your mind to something that is powerful enough to shift your mind, you can change and regulate your emotions. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Now, since that time that I was out there and I wanted to get out of the car and beat the dog shit out of that guy, I've had a few other people cut me off and I didn't do what I wanted to do. And the only difference was the rhetoric that I used when the emotions came. And that rhetoric needs to be very powerful. My rhetoric is simple now. Keaton, do you want to end up in prison and leave your children and your family by allowing your emotions to regulate you, or do you want to step up and be a warrior and regulate your emotions? I would imagine most of you guys think you're pretty tough. Really easy to think you're tough physically, but tough mentally is a different game. A tough man is someone who learns to control his emotions. A bad motherfucker is somebody who controls his thought. Now, again, you want to say you're tough, but you allow your emotions to throw you to and fro, you're not tough. If you work on figuring out what rhetoric you can use, you can go to battle. Which, by the way, just so you understand, all those instances you just gave me, those were battles you lost. You got your ass kicked in that battle. Absolutely. It's time for you to become something greater to be able to battle that. And again, I understand, man. I kicked the door in. I did the whole thing. But at this point in my life, I have learned to become a warrior. And my arrow out of my quiver is a simple rhetoric in my mind. Keaton, are you really going to allow your emotions to dictate you right now? Are you that big of a coward that your emotions run you to and fro? I don't let people offend me. I'm too big of that. I don't let people piss me off. They don't have any control over me. And I'm not going to allow that. So the rhetoric you use is what shifts your mind. So what you need to do tonight is figure out a very powerful rhetoric that you can begin to use to shift your mind when you feel the emotions that you feel. And as you do this, just like repetitions in that gym, the more you do it, the stronger you become. And I know you're not going to get good at it right now. It's going to take some fucking time. But the more you do it over and over and over again, the greater that muscle becomes. So with someone like yourself who's always emotionally charged, you got lots of repetitions you got to do over and over and over again. So here's a challenge for you specifically. Next time you're called to anger, stop. Put the rhetoric in your mind. Am I a coward? Am I a bitch? Or am I a warrior? Am I going to let this dictate me, or am I going to dictate what I'm doing? I must think that I'm a badass. Well, here it is. Here's my battle. Am I winning or am I losing? It's my choice. And then go to work and do that shit over and over and over again until the emotion breaks. Work on it.
Have you ever heard the coffee king story?
I have. I'm good friends with that guy. Yeah. He's
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for coming out, giving us some of your time. Appreciate it.
absolutely.
First part of the question to resolve a conflict. Powerlifting. There's weight classes, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Second part of the question. We got argument. Second part of the question, pretty serious. The high rate of recidivism of inmates, convicts is related to substance abuse. Mm-hmm. How have you avoided the problems of substance abuse, alcoholism, and using any kind of substance? And, you know, you're a power lifter. You know, I've competed in bodybuilding. I have problems with that. I have all the steroids and athletes. How can we avoid lower recidivism rate associated with substance abuse addiction?
It's all in your preparation. So when I tell you guys that you got to go to work on yourself, the human being that you currently are is going to be called to do the same shit you've continually done. So if I build who I am, I'm more of a warrior to deal with that shit as it comes, right? And my preparation is what prepares me for my battle. And the battle is going to come over and over and over again. But who I am in that battle can change. So preparation is everything. Now, I will tell you this. I am very, very strong-willed when it comes to understanding addiction. Anything in my life that I feel I begin to get addicted to, and I mean anything, I get rid of well before it becomes that, because of who I am today in my preparation, knowing where I will go if I'm not prepared. So I would go all the way back to the pre-work. Your preparation of who you are and how you build this mind will be the warrior that is presented in those circumstances. I can't beat addiction if I continually remain the same person over and over and over again. Now I can't handle how many times I'm going to get tempted to have that addiction. What I can handle is the person that gets put in that situation. And I can build that motherfucker. I can build him to be powerful as shit. So the work you do on yourself is the preparation that prepares you for those instances. The reason everybody reoffends, why addicts continue to be addicted, is because they never change them. They just think that something here is going to change, and you have no control over that. I have no control when my buddy comes to my house and says, "Do you want a drink?" What I do have control over is the human being that answers him. No, man, I did that once. I love alcohol, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I have prepared for this moment for years before this moment happened. It's all in preparation. And again, that's why this shit that I'm talking about is so important. Nothing changes if you don't change. All the circumstances are still going to go. If any of you guys get out, you're going to be put in a situation where you want to beat the dog shit out of somebody. You're going to be put in a situation where you do drugs, where you drink alcohol. You're going to be put in a situation you don't want to be in. And the human being that gets to battle that situation is the only thing that you have control over. So you got to go to work on you. You got to go to work on this. And it's all in the preparation of that prepares you for that battle. Can you imagine that if we shifted it and said, It's a physical battle. I'm going to hand you a sword and I'm handing everybody else here a sword. And in 3 weeks, we're going to battle to the death. How much are you going to prepare for the next 3 weeks for that? Now that shifts. Oh shit, I don't want to die. I don't want to go to that battle and get my ass kicked. So I'm going to run. I'm going to be in good shape. I'm going to learn how to swing that sword. I'm going to build armor. I'm going to do everything that I got to do to be prepared for that battle. But we don't look at those instances as battles. That's why we're cowards. When those times come where you want to kick the door in, that's a battle that you were not prepared for. The reason I'm a monster and the monster that I am is because of how I prepared to be a monster, not because of the situation that I put in. So it's the preparation in you for when that battle comes. And understand, it's all a battle. You don't believe me, then when you get out, you're going to get placed on the battlefield and you're going to get the shit kicked out of you and you're going to get put right back in there. Do the preparation.
By preparation, do you mean the 4 pillars that you're talking about?
Yes. Let's do one more question.
Okay, so I'm on death row. I've been there for 37 years. I've been dealing with demons for 37 years in my mental health. I don't have medication to take care of that shit. How would you go about fixing that?
You know, the truth is that you're in a unique situation from almost anybody. You know. But let me tell you probably the most powerful thing I could ever tell you. And if you guys have a pen and paper, I want you to write this sentence down. True perspective breeds discipline. Let me tell you how you get put in the right perspective. You contemplate death on a daily basis, which I imagine you do. See, true perspective forces me to be disciplined to the things that I know I need to do before I die. One of my favorite teachers was Marcus Aurelius, if any of you guys know who that was. He was part of Rome. Marcus Aurelius was a bad dude. And he wrote all the time in his journal. One of his writings, he said, a man or a woman should contemplate death on a daily basis. Why? Because death places us in a different perspective. And a true perspective breeds the discipline that I must have. Because everybody else thinks that death is far away. Everybody else thinks death is never going to happen. That's not for you. You know, you and I think the same. I don't know when you're going to die, but I think I might die sooner than you. And I think about that every fucking day. I think about the death of my wife. I think about the death of my children every fucking day. And it puts me in the right perspective to be disciplined as a father, a man, and a husband. So when I want to slip up, when I want to lax, when I want to be lazy, when I want to be a coward, I go, you know what, dude? You don't have that much time left. So put in the work. Be disciplined as shit. Your daughter may not be here next week. What kind of father are you going to be to her? When you're angry that she's crying, are you going to be a dickhead or are you going to be disciplined in the type of father you should be? Because she may not be here next week. And you may not be here next week. See, I actually think you've been given a gift. You know when your time is up. I'll tell you, when I go back to God, I only have one question for him. Why didn't you put an hourglass on everybody's shoulder? So that they knew when they were going to die. So they stopped procrastinating the shit they knew they should have done. I think you've been given a gift. You don't have that much time left. What will you do with the time you have and how disciplined will you be in the time you have? I don't know when my time is, but I live like every fucking day is my last day. That's why I'm here. I could have stayed home and had a nice breakfast and done anything else. But if I die, I want to have an impact on people. And that's why I came today, was to have an impact on people and change people's lives. And I stay disciplined to that because I don't know. This could be my last speech. Now, you know, wake the fuck up every day with the time you have left and be disciplined in what you need to do. It's only discipline. I just gave you recipes. I just gave you tools. How disciplined will you be in what I just gave you? You don't have time left, man. I don't know when that is, but you don't have time left. Be disciplined.
I got a quote real quick that I read about, I don't need it, I just read it. If you fail to prepare to fail.
100%. And that goes back to what he said. That's why preparation is so important. I want to thank you guys for this time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
If there's anything that I can do to help you, there's a way to get a hold of me. I'm on social media. It's the.muscle. I get back to all my messages. I don't know what kind of access you guys have, but anything I can do for you, you let me know. And anytime they ask me to speak, I'll always be here. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.